My name is Nomsa Ntshingila, as you have heard, and I am the Executive Manager, HR of the National Housing Finance Corporation. You would have seen a stand out there, and you are probably wondering what we do. NHFC, we are a National Housing Finance Corporation. We help people with their financial needs in the housing sector. I just thought I should put that out there. I'm here to share our lived experience of building a sustainable learnership. I'd like to ask the people in this room a question. I know that there's been a lot that's spoken about unemployment in South Africa. I just want to find out from you, do you have an idea what the level of employment in South Africa is in this quarter 2? Anyone? 60? 36? Almost there. The official rate is 33%. So what it means is that about about a third of our people who could be economically active are not employed. That goes even further to say, of the youth that are qualified, have qualifications, anyone with an idea of how many are unemployed? And I'm just now talking between the ages of 25, because that's where you would expect someone to be graduating, 25 to 34. What is the number?
Right.
65, that's a bit steep. It's 42%. 42% of the youth that have graduated with qualifications are not employed in South Africa. And the total number now, the number of youth that are unemployed, the figure, what is the quantum? What is the figure? Anyone with a guess? 5 million. 5 million youth who are qualified in South Africa are not employed. And these figures reflect a deep structural disconnect. And we've had this being said here, the disconnect between the education outputs in our country and the labor market needs, what the market needs. And I dare to say, this is sad but true, that South Africa has the highest youth unemployment rate in the world. Yeah, it is like this. So you see there's South Africa, and another small country which I learn is at the tip of the African Horn, with his Djibouti, and then Eswatini. And here we think that Eswatini is one of our provinces, but we are not very far from Eswatini as far as the youth unemployment rate is concerned. So this is sad, but it is reality. We know that learnerships are actually designed to address this disconnect between training, which is education, and practical workplace experience. However, there is a problem even there. If I may just be given an opportunity to just highlight, this is not everything, just some problems that we have in implementing the learnerships or experiential learning, which would be helping in this dire strait that we are in. Limited scale and reach. We see that learnerships are not yet implemented at a scale that would make a dent in the unemployment rate. Also, there's a skills mismatch, which I've heard being spoken about here from yesterday to today. That we still have a lot of graduates that come out of college with the qualifications that are not meeting the needs of the market. So they end up being underemployed or jobless. And also, the funny thing, this is a funny phenomenon, that there are incentives that are meant to incentivize organizations for getting or taking on learnerships. But despite these, learnership uptake remains inconsistent. I guess the question that we have to ask ourselves as corporate South Africa is, why is it that we as organizations do not fully leverage these benefits that are available to us? At NHFC, which is the story that I would like to talk to you about today, we have made strides. It's not easy. It took us some time even to secure these accreditations. The QCTO accreditation, which we now have, which assists some of our learners with project management and all other relevant skills in the business. And SAICA accreditation as well, which, as you will know, is used for training, is a training program for accountants or chartered accountants. And these things that we've done at NHFC, they enable these formal qualifications. As the learners get the formal qualifications, they also get the recognition in terms of the skills that they acquire, because the learnerships in their nature afford them time in the class as well as time for theory. Having said that, though, there is still a broader systemic adoption of a learnership, a meaningful, and I want to say meaningful learnership that needs to be adopted. And I tell you why I say meaningful. In most cases, organizations will take learners and we make them do photocopies, we make them make us coffee, we make them do all these menial tasks. So that is why I'm emphasizing on meaningful, the meaningful experience that they need to gain. I want to give us some takeaways or things that we can take away. If you want, you can improve on what we are doing, but these are a few takeaways that I would like to give from NHFC. So, one takeaway is sustainable experiential learning. This, I would say, it should be non-negotiable for all of us. In other words, when we take up learners and learnerships, we must make sure that in the period that they are with us, they either get absorbed in our own businesses, or if we do not absorb them, prepare them for a meaningful or gainful employment. We shouldn't get the benefits of tax incentives and the triple BEE points, but not impact the lives of the young people most of the time, who then become our learners. The other thing, and I'm not going to talk about everything, I don't know if I'm not going to talk about everything, I'm just going to say a few things. Employer commitment, we need to have that commitment. Employer commitment to empowering youth, it is very, very important. So when we get the youth, then we must make sure that we commit to empower them. And then I would like to say that the First Home Finance Program, which is one of our programs at NHFC, is actually proof that sustainable youth employment prospects are possible. And I'm going to prove to you so that if it encourages you, you can also do that. But before I do so, I'd like to talk about the experiential learning process. Our own experiential learning process at NHFC is grounded on a theory of COLPS. And this theory is experiential learning theory, which really is about connecting the theory to knowledge that is learned and making sure that this connection works in the real world. So you can, it's actually a very interesting a piece of work that COLPS did. Just to explain to you what we at NHFC have done, you can use this blueprint or you can improve on it. So at NHFC, we use this model that you can see of experiencing, reflecting, thinking, and acting it's embedded in our learnership experience. So what it means is that our learners get an opportunity to experience or to do work, meaningful work. What I'm saying is those who are training to do project management then become involved in real projects. So that's meaningful experience that they need. Also, they get an opportunity of reflection. What does this mean? It means they watch their mentors doing things. Like now I have my own HR learners over there. Wave, please, so that you can see that it's not cooked. We actually live these experiences. Yes, so I've got my two there. So they actually watch their mentors do these things. Why? We want them to watch and reflect. And the other thing is that at NHFC, we give our learners a process of thinking about what they see. One of the speakers said here, people should not just be not be seen, they must also be heard. They must not just be seen, they must be heard. We have our learners there who are contributing meaningfully to our own program of human resources. We listen to what they are saying, we take the brilliant suggestions. Plus, if you want to know, these young people, they come up with wonderful ideas. And I think somebody said that. They come with wonderful ideas that change the way that we, people who have been in the organization for long, think, or it helps us. So we give them that opportunity. And then we also give them an opportunity to actually apply what they have learned. So it is this model that we use. And you're probably asking yourself, what is NHFC's intention in doing what they're doing? It is a lot of work, I must say. It is a lot of work. But what is our intention in doing what we're doing? Our strategic intent in doing what we're doing is transformation. It is transformation. In other words, we are very deliberate that our recruitment practices will favor experience rather than potential. So we are deliberate that we will spend time, we will spend resources doing this to transform. The other thing, we are very conscious that we want to build a pipeline in the housing sector for our sector. We want to build a pipeline of skilled professionals. I made an example of project management learnerships. These are learners who in the construction industry are very, very necessary. So when they qualify, they become project managers in these big projects that you've seen all over our country. The other thing is that promoting of sustainable employment is very critical, particularly on the back of the stats that I've shown earlier on about the unemployment rate in our country and worse on our youth in the world. So what is the role of HR then? What are we as HR practitioners? What is our role here? I'm not going to go through everything, but we need to be strategic enablers as HR practitioners. And our role also is talent alignment. I've just spoken about our learners in human resources. We also have learners in ICT and everywhere. And also, we need to create an enabling environment for learning and development for our learners. So that is our role as HR practitioners. I'm not going to go through our strategy of learning and development, but I just want to skip and talk about how has NHFC empowered youth through creating sustainable employment, because this is what I've been asked to talk about. And I'd like to venture to say that at NHFC, we've created meaningful different types of experiential learning. I have been stressing meaningful. And we have deployed them in strategic programs of NHFC. Example, we have the top, which are the trainee chartered accountants. We put them in the finance department. They are in treasury, they are in financial management, but they are where they will learn meaningful skills and equip them to become fully qualified. And if we don't absorb them, then they can get gainful employment elsewhere. Also, because we have a graduate intake cohort, we put them also in the strategic functions of our organization, like lending, for instance, in the lending departments, some of them, as we have said, in the first home finance program of our company, and some of them, as I've said, are in HR, those who are qualified or have been learning to become HR practitioners, and then others in ICT and the like. But we are very intentional about this. And I'd like to share and to show you proof of this, proof of the pudding, the impact of strategic placement of these employers. This is real, these are real figures that we are reporting. So, as you can see, from 2019 to 2021, these are financial years, 21, 22, we were not really active in getting learners. But from financial year 2022 to date, look at the difference that the learners or the learnerships have produced. In this project or this program, which is called First Home Finance, not only have the number of applications improved because they capture the applications, but they also interview people who come and are looking for funding, for housing funding. Not only has that number of applications improved, but the value of those applications has improved. As you can see, it doubled up to almost 100%. The value of the disbursements and the subsidies that have, the housing units that have been produced because of making sure that the learners in our organization are doing meaningful work. So this is proof of the pudding. And what underpins this impact is a principle of providing them with sustainable employment, whether we absorb them ultimately or not. You would want to ask yourself questions. I'm sure you're asking yourself, and I think my time is almost up. You're probably asking yourself questions, and I've prepared questions for you that you are in your mind. I sort of read your mind. I thought you would want to ask me, where does the NHFC source different learners? So I thought I should preempt what you are going to ask me. So I'll tell you, we go to tertiary institutions, we partner with SETAs, we go directly to the market, And we also have community networks from where we source our learners. And the target group, we target them. This is the strategy. We are deliberate about this. We wanted youth from historically disadvantaged backgrounds because they were not getting placed in learnerships. I mean, I don't want to mention companies, but some companies will bring learners who actually have not been briefed in terms of what they need to do. So we thought we'll go directly to the market, we'll source learners, we'll take them fresh, and then we'll make sure that in the 2 years or 18 months that the learners are with us, when they leave with meaningful skills, or we absorb them where we need them. So when did NHFC, I did say 2022, and the annual intake, we started very small. By the way, NHFC, even though we are a national, our reach is national. However, we are based here in Joburg and we are only 158 employees. But our reach is national, I mean, we are everywhere. So we started very small. We started with 6 learners and then we ramped up. Year to date, we have 30 learners. In fact, this financial year, our aim, and we are halfway through the mark, was to get 30 learners at a go. And to date, the learners that we have recruited are 50. You might say small, but for an organization that is 158, is almost a third of our organization. And 22 of those we have absorbed. In other words, we gave them work in the areas in which they were learners. Yes. Thank you very much. And we also project to absorb 10 more in this financial year. And however, the absorption does not just come. The learners themselves, in other words, we want these people, our learners, the youth, if we are not taking them as learners, you must take them. But when you take them, there must be professionals, and there must also be ethically, their work ethic must be okay. So even there, when our absorption criteria, we make sure that first of all, they have completed the program successfully, and that our need as an organization is met. So the alignment there. And also, they must have positive, we must get positive feedback or evaluations from their supervisors. And also, there must be a need, obviously. So what is the duration? The duration is 18 months to 24 months. Why? To really make a dent and make sure that somebody understands what they're doing, particularly if they come from university or school or wherever, because some of them come from matric. For them to learn and to master being a professional, you need a longer period than a year. And most of the learnerships are a year. So we at NHFC, we take this learnership duration, we make them 18 months or 24 months. And the role, this is very important. Like I said earlier on, when we take on learners, they must participate in meaningful functions, but then we must also supervise them, mentor them, and make sure that when they complete their learnership program, they are professionals. And where are they placed? And I've said that they're placed everywhere in our functions: first home finance, lending, credit finance, everywhere where they are required. And if we do not absorb the learners, we then support them via exit interviews and give them external referrals. So when you get a learner from NHFC, you know that you get a learner that is fit for purpose. Thank you so much.